Welcome to Green Drinks. This is an awesome turnout. We're super excited to have you all here. If by chance you are not here for Green Drinks, welcome to Green Drinks. We're happy to have you here. This is a monthly gathering of folks to talk about sustainability issues in our community. My name is Julie Mock. I'm the Regional Sustainability Coordinator for Chaffee County. And we're really excited to be here at Woods Distillery. Before we kick it off, I'm going to hand it over to our esteemed County Commissioner, Mr. P.T. Wood, to tell us a little bit about the work they're doing here at Woods.
Thanks, Julie. Well, I don't know about the work we're doing here. One of the cool things we did here when we built this out, almost everything you see was recycled from old jobs, stuff we tore off the roof of the building. We brought in very little new stuff to do the build out on this space, which was cool. Plus, we started with a still that was about 150 years old, so the ultimate recycling, right? But real quick, we're really, as a county commissioner, I'm really proud of the work that we've been able to do with Julie and the sustainability team and with the city of Salida, partnering, I did have one whiskey, just one, to really elevate sustainability as one of our pillars of what we do in the county. And I think you're seeing that in the greenhouse gas inventory that we're doing and the work that we're doing at the landfill for recycling and waste diversion. We finally got a company that will come and collect and recycle Freon, so you can take your refrigerators to the landfill now, which is a huge deal. People were just cutting those lines and then throwing them in a ditch, right? So big deal. Really proud of our mattress recycling that we're doing. It is unbelievable how many mattresses you people are using. I don't know what's going on, but it is amazing. Hundreds and hundreds of mattresses every month being recycled and not put into the landfill. So a big deal. I have to apologize, we didn't get our electric preferred code quite to where I wanted it to be. But sometimes as a politician, you have to bend a little bit and get to somewhere where everybody can accept what you're trying to do. So we're excited about that though, and I think it's going to make a difference down the road. Other than that, welcome to Woods. I really appreciate you guys being here. One kind of side plug, I am up for re-election this year, and I do think I've done a good job, and I hope I've earned your vote. If not, come and talk to me and let me know what I need to do better. So, cheers and have a cocktail.
Thanks, PT. Thanks for having us tonight. So PT stole my thunder. I had a couple of quick announcements. The one being that literally you all are the first to find out about Freon recycling. We haven't even put it out in the paper or anything yet, so collect your refrigerators and AC units and take them to the landfill. That's big and exciting. Also wanted to put on your calendar our next Green Drinks is going to be July 8th, and that is going to be a presentation a little bit more formal than our typical Green Drinks on the greenhouse gas inventory that the county has been working on for the last 8 months or so. So that'll be super interesting, a little more detailed, a little more technical, but a great opportunity to learn about broader emissions, what sectors they're coming from, transportation, housing, etc. So hope you can join us on July 8th. Just another quick note, a huge part of Green Drinks is engaging with your community. So we're going to have a speaker, but after that, I'm going to challenge you to meet somebody that you don't know and talk to them about any sustainability topic. It can be water that we're going to talk about tonight, or anything else that you're excited about, that you're working on at home, that you're doing in your garden, or you're putting on your roof, or changing your vehicle, or whatever it might be. Talk to a new person, get to know them, and maybe you'll learn a little bit of something. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to David Lady. He's the Public Works Director for the City of Salida, and he's going to tell us all about water.
How's it going, everyone? I'm actually probably probably going to grab a seat. I woke up at the crack of dawn, dragged my 9-year-old up Mount Princeton this morning, and then the wind picked up and it blew us off the mountain and ended up here. So, anyways, it was a great hike, but it was kind of crazy. Even he was saying like, "Wow, I thought we'd be going through some snowfields that they didn't exist up there." So, kind of goes to show that runoff is, well, this is pretty much it right now. Anyways, yeah, I've been the public works director here for almost 10 years, and kind of have worked on a variety of projects, even outside of water and sewer and streets. Got to work with Mayor Wood and putting in at first the city's EV stations, maybe 6 or 7 years ago, something like that, and some other projects like that. But definitely here to talk about water tonight. So preferably not road detours and things like that.
Got a question about the road.
Sorry though, it's a crazy busy construction season, so I will put in a plug and say sorry in advance for all the construction clients. It's impactful to people trying to get around. So I was originally asked to kind of talk about a software we have that any people that live in Salida and have a water meter have access to. It's called Eyes on Water, and it allows you to utilize data to make educated decisions on your irrigation, things like that. Also set leak alerts and do a variety of things. But I thought I'd also just kind of give you a little bit of background about Salida and water history here and what that all looks like. If you're not aware, Colorado has really ridiculous water laws that kind of has led to some of the predicaments that multiple states are in. And so there's kind of the physical water that exists, but then there's also water on paper, which is managed through water rights and accounting measures. And unfortunately, there's more water on paper a lot of years than what is physically available. And this is a year where that's definitely the case. And so Salida does have some very old water rights, and so we don't anticipate those being impacted significantly based off the normal trends, but we're watching the data closely to see how things adjust, whether it's groundwater, production rates, or surface water. So Salida gets water from 3 sources, which is a little bit unusual to have 3 different sources for a community our size. It's actually great because it provides a lot of redundancy. In a time of drought, a lot of communities just have one diversion off the river, and that's pretty much it. We have up to 4 million gallons a day can be produced off water coming off of the South Arkansas River, and then we have 2 groundwater sources. One we call it galleries, that is kind of over close to Hutchinson Rains, I guess, for lack of better terms. And then if you ever boat or look across from the baseball fields, there's another groundwater treatment plant over there, and those both can produce about 1.5 million gallons. And so, yeah, we do have a lot of redundancy as far as our sources are concerned. Getting into more like the individual, I guess, history of Salida. Going way, way back, it's such an old community. A lot of the old parts of roads actually had surface irrigation, so some of the water rights diverted water down ditches and people just flooded their yards. Similar to how some of the fields get watered, which is super inefficient. And that's kind of how it was done. And then when public water systems went in, the city for up until the year 2000 didn't even have water meters, which is pretty unusual. So we're kind of in a community that has a lot of people here that grew up without even metering their water. So there wasn't a great concept of how much water you're probably using. You just kind of turn the sprinkler system on or do whatever, and the bill's the same every month. So I think it's important to note that, because I think in a community like that, it can probably take a while for the culture to change, or things like that to take effect. So the city did start putting water meters in around 2000, and recently, well, about the last 5 years, we've been upgrading all those meters to have cellular recorders on them, so it pushes water information to the cloud basically. And so the city uses that for billing, but also what I was going to talk a bit about was this Eyes on Water software, and I would encourage you to go and look at the city utility website if you would be interested in creating an account and logging into your own meter information. I wasn't expecting quite this many people, which is that's totally fine. I printed out some charts and slides. If anyone's really interested in the data side of things and wants to talk afterwards, I'll leave these up here. But I know you probably can't see what's on them, but basically what you can do is once you log into your account, you can kind of look at your consumption. You can look at it on a 5-minute increment, hourly, daily, monthly, and yearly. You just click on what you want to see. Like I guess because of my role, I had one put on my house right away. No, because I wanted to see how well it all worked and could make sure it's a viable software, I guess, to promote. Anyways, it's kind of cool to see. Like for me and our family, we kind of made some adjustments to our sprinkler systems and refined it. And it takes a while to really see those impacts, but if you look at year-over-year use, I mean, there's probably 20 to 30% reduction in water during the summer months, which is when most people consume the majority of water. Another thing you can do with the software is you can set up leak detection. So if you have a leak in your yard, or you don't have to wait to see a really high water bill or this or that, you'll get an alert on your phone or email or however you want to do that. And just to give you some tips on what you might want to consider for setting up a leak detection is looking at your usage trends. For example, like when our irrigation system kicks on, we use about 200 gallons an hour. That's what it ends up. It doesn't run that long, but so I know I don't want to set my leak for something high or lower than that, or else it go off all the time. So kind of you need to know what your normal usages are, and then you can set a leak to match that. If you don't have a yard with irrigation, you could look at like longer trends and move that number down a lot. So, anyways, that information is up here and available for those that want to learn more about it. I'd be glad to go into other topics, but maybe I'd open it up to see if there's any questions.
When is Salida going to enact watering restrictions?
So our city code there are mandated restrictions for certain triggers, and then there's voluntary triggers. And so it's a touchy subject. Ultimately, I was at a water congress event last summer, and a lot of the bigger cities that have studied this for many years have kind of learned that the most effective way to change the culture and also see lower or reduce the amount of waste and also see lower consumption is having tiered rate structures. It's often very difficult unless you have the resources to enforce mandated measures. Typically, they have found that having tiered rates, so if you use over so many gallons, you pay more per gallon, and it keeps incrementally going up. And we changed our fee schedule last year to adapt that sort of policy, and it takes a while to see the results of it, but that is one thing that has been done.
But people are watering in the middle of the day, and they're watering multiple times a day, and they're watering every day. What are you doing to encourage intelligent water use? Like, we don't have any water, David. I know how long you've lived here, and I've lived here 40 years, and we've had water restrictions in this town. It's a simple thing. You just do the number of your address, even days, odd days, no water in between 10 and 4. Like, it's just recommendations. I don't expect you to enforce them.
Yeah.
But they need to be enacted.
Those recommendations have been sent out. Sarah Law is our public.
No, they need to be enacted.
Next question.
Who thinks we should have watering restrictions in Salida? In a desert. We're at
Fair
half
enough,
our
yep.
annual precipitation at this point in the year. We're at 1.7 inches of precipitation this year. Yes.
Have you considered saying this to a city council?
He's in charge of the public works.
But they direct him to do
Fair enough, yeah. It is a code change that would be required.
I hope you
but
would
that's-
consider it,
Okay,
please.
thank you.
It's a smart thing to do. We don't have any rain in the forecast. Thank you for what you do.
Maybe you can talk a little bit about the city's water portfolio, and, you touched on it a little bit, but kind of where it lands in seniority,
Yeah.
sorry if that's too geeky, but.
No, especially about seniority, that would be interesting.
Yeah, the city has a number of different water rights, and a water right is based off of when it was appropriated, and we do have some of the older ones on the South Arkansas River, which is where our primary diversions are from. And then with that though, there is what's called an augmentation plan, and so we don't operate our sources directly off of water rights. We can basically pull from different places and put it back in other places using this augmentation plan. And that's a kind of the key document that got approved. I think it's in 1986. And that really allows for a lot of flexibility on, since we do have three sources, how we can operate them. So, and the city, we had a raw water study done quite a number of years ago, and it looked at, I think it was 2002 and 2003 was the last really bad drought year, and those were used for modeling on what to expect. And granted, it's hard to tell, as growth increases in the county and there's more wells, we have to keep looking at trends to see what things do. But there were some pretty rough years back then as well that were used for kind of the basis on how our water plant team produces and manages some water.
I have Eye on Water. It's a great program. I really like being able to see the usage. Who maintains that software? Is that something that you contracted out? Are there updates to it ever? There's a couple features I think would be useful. One thing is more real time. I can't really see what happened in the last few days, for example.
That's a good question. The question was who maintains the Eye on Water software, and there's a desire for more functionality on it. Anyways, maybe email me and I could send that to our vendor to see what might be in the research and development side of things. It is a vendor application. The city doesn't have much say in it. It's tied to our water accounting and other software we have.
I'm wondering, okay, so when I go past the Chafee County Courthouse and the city buildings, I see these expansive lawns that are being watered. And looking forward to the future, I see xeriscape needs to be put in. That we need to, instead of having beautifully clean green lawns in Salida, use rock. You be creative. I mean, I'm not even hearing.
Yeah, Joyce.
I'm not even hearing anything about if it's brown, flush it down. If it's yellow, let it mellow. I'm being serious because we are getting to a point where we're going to really have to conserve water. It's not like, oh yeah, I'm going to water my lawn for 3 hours and watch the water get my lawn green. Having a green lawn is not as important as me or you or any of us drinking water. And not just us, but in the state. I'm not hearing the state say anything about conserving water, like getting on the pedestal and saying, we need to do something.
Watering restrictions.
Yes.
Thank you, Joyce. It's doing it everywhere. We're like the only town that doesn't have watering restrictions.
I will just add, I think to your point, there's a huge educational opportunity, right? There's a huge educational opportunity, both for residents and for, our municipal kind of water use, right? But I think there's also a balance. There are people in our community who want places to recreate that we need lawns for, right? We all love going to the farmer's market and having a nice space there. So there's a balance. And I think that the city is doing a good job of of measuring that balance. And I think, yeah, where there's potential for xeriscaping, that's great. Where there's potential to add compost and soil amendments that reduce watering needs, that's great. Where there's potential to shift to drought tolerant, turf and that sort of thing. But there's so many options out there. They all take money to implement, right? And staff time. But education is something that we all can do and help with, right? So talk to that neighbor that is watering their lawn in the middle of the day, right? And educate them about drip systems and time of use and things like that. We can't, David and his staff are slammed with tons of things to do, so let's be a little easy on them and take some community initiative to do some education, and we'll take that feedback as well. That's one thing that we can certainly help with is outreach.
Yeah, I would note both the city and the county have both Sarah Law also on board to help with sustainability stuff, and so I think with Julie and Sarah, there's certainly people that can help with that outreach that are, educated and more suitable to get out some public communications.
How do we you said Salida has some unique, really old water rights, other sources. How do we compare to other cities in the area?
It varies a little bit as far as volume of water. We're in good shape. The city, it's controversial. I guess it's kind of besides the point. But when they bought the Vanderveer Ranch property, that was to really bolster up the water rights for the long-term future of the city. Generally for build-out, and so that was done to help with the water rights. One thing we don't have, and it'd be nice, some communities have more storage, especially, Denver's huge, but they rely a ton on reservoir storage. That's something Salida doesn't have much of. And some of the smaller communities don't. Reservoirs can be extremely expensive to build, maintain, and ultimately the ratepayers end up paying for it. And so that is where I would say we're lacking is on that storage side of things. Well, I'd be glad to. I'm going to stick around too for a while. So if you think of something else, just come grab me. But I'm sure we can all meet. We have 2 questions. 3.
Well, Denver already just today took away the rights for Lake Ontario fishing place that everybody likes to go. Nobody can fish there anymore. They're letting the fishermen come in for free. Take as many as you can because the rest of them are going to die. Well, that's what's going to happen around here if we don't have water in the river for the rafters. So we're headed for a disaster. Look at Lake Lake Powell Lake. It's gone down like 900 feet, or whatever it is, 300 feet. And it's gone down to a point where they had to reduce the output of the generators that the dams were producing. And in that, they go down to Lake Mead, and there's another disaster happening. The Colorado River is going to have to support all of that. And we're in lockstep. We're not, we got to look forward. Because if we don't do something, we're going to turn to a dust bowl. So, what is your plan to solve that?
I think it really comes down to our
What did he
broader
say?
government.
What did he say? We can't hear.
He was just mentioning how dire the bigger picture is with the Colorado River and things like that. And yeah, I think we'll see whether it's the state or the federal government, really step up and have to start changing laws across the board because, it's hopeful that each community can come up with their own ideas, but it's a way bigger picture. And there probably needs to be some consistency. I think people when they move from, let's say, the Midwest to here, or whether it's Salida or they move from another town in the mountains, I think having that consistency would hopefully start to change the West more effectively than everyone kind of, yeah.
So I look at Salida as being a very forward-thinking place. So that's a very forward-thinking place. What are we doing starting tomorrow to make a change, to make people aware, to make people take action? I just want to feel like we're going to do something rather than waiting for something else to happen.
Yeah. I think what I would suggest is...
I'm not talking to my neighbor or whatever, you know?
You know, the city has a comprehensive plan that really is the guiding document for city values and things like that. It's very outdated. And I know I was asking our community development director just today, you know, what's the date. And I think within the next year or two, that's a very, very important document, and it solicits feedback from the community, and hopefully that can start to formulate, okay, this is the city's vision for how we want to handle certain really big topics. I think that's going to be the best mechanism to get some things in motion.
Well, so I'm curious, you know, they had something recently on, I think it was in Salida Community, or maybe I saw it in Denver paper, but about how much the reservoir, Twin Lakes, has gone down this year. How much water is really there for how many people for how many years? That's what I want to know. I think we should double the price of water to $100 at least, maybe $150, and give people a half the amount of water that they're giving us now. It's way too much. You know, I mean, I think this is going to be a real big disaster here. Just looking at a lot of other places, I travel around a lot, and I look at what other communities are doing. You know, it's just, we got to cut back, big time, and not build any more houses. Why are we building all these houses?
Yeah, so P.T. Wood, Chief County Commissioner, and something we talk a lot about. And this is, I'm taking the mic because this is not David's job. It is not. He works for the city, and he has been super graceful to be here, and I really appreciate it. My job is to be punched and kicked in the knee and take the abuse here. So let me do that, and not David, who does an amazing job. So there's a whole lot of really challenging pieces there, right? So Greg felt would be much better able to answer your question about storage and amount of water that we have. I think last time I heard him speak, he said we have about 3 years if we had no more moisture for that. So we're okay. We're gonna be okay this year. Are we gonna be okay next year? I don't know. Climate change is a big deal, and that's why we're getting here. That's why we're sitting here trying to figure out how do we reduce our greenhouse gas emissions? How do we improve the climate? How do we make our world a little bit better? And that's what we have to do. We can't yell at the public works guy because we're running out of water. That is not his fault or his job. We're running out of water because we've been assholes sucking up every resource on the planet.
Here and there.
So that's our job. That's on us. That's up to us. We have to do that.
But I think we have to pass some laws that make sense.
Right. So
that's the main thing.
I don't disagree with you, and I think our state and federal legislatures are willing to work on those things. And I'm leaving tomorrow to go spend 3 days talking about these very issues and what those points are going to be, and what those legislative moves will be in the next session in Colorado. So it's being worked on, but we could use your ideas, we could use your help. And in the meantime, today, what you can do is you can go home and do the best that you can possibly do. You can reduce what you're taking in. You can, not drive across town if you don't have to. You can go get an electric vehicle. You can get solar panels. There are a lot of things that are microscopic benefits, right? But if enough of us do those microscopic benefits, they grow into larger benefits. And there is no doubt that the folks in this room that think about this stuff and care deeply about this stuff are not benefiting from anything that's going on in Washington right now, right? As a matter of fact, you're the problem, right? According to those folks. But you can still do what you can do. So that's my plea, that's my ask. And I don't know that anybody's going to have satisfying answers to these questions, and I apologize for that.
Thanks, PT, and thanks, David. I think I'm going to wrap it up there. This was a spicy green drinks, so thank you all for engaging. We'll be hanging out. Hopefully, David can hang out a little bit and talk one-on-one. But again, the goal here is to hopefully have gained a little more information than when you came. Go home, get that Eye on Water tool, eyeonwater.com, eye like your eyeball, and start with your own water usage, right? Make a change there and work out, build a network here, and grow from there, right? And talk to your legislators and talk to, your senators and governors and all of those things, because these are, yes, your commissioners. These are challenges that transcend this city and this county and even this state, right? So, yeah, thank you all so much for being here. Again, join us July 8th for the next Green Drinks, and please hang out and mingle and enjoy your evening. Thank you.